or policemen or public enemies. You're the only one that matters to me because I love you.
Better than bubble gum?
Better than bubble gum. You're the public sweetheart number one that's a prisoner of love forever in the solitary confinement of my heart.
Gosh.
Joey, dear, you know something?
Mm-hmm. What?
Well, I was passing a store window today, and I saw something that I hope you'll buy for me someday.
What was it, Jill?
Well, it's something that makes every woman's hand look just a little bit lovelier. Something that makes a woman feel closer to the man she loves. When I'm washing dishes, it won't seem like a task at all, because I can look down and see your lovely gift.
Yeah?
Yeah. Even when I'm washing your shirts and socks, I won't mind, because I can look at my hand and see the thing that made it possible for me to wash your socks and your shirts. It'll be a lovely gift, Joey.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean, don't you, Joey?
Yeah.
What?
Rubber gloves.
A few words with my pals. Listen, boys and girls. Every once in a while, children are tempted to dash off to school without enough breakfast. I hope you don't. Eat a good breakfast and be sure to have a bowl of Post Toasties. Those delicious cornflakes are chock full of food energy to help you through the morning. And, of course, every Post Toasties box has those swell Walt Disney cutouts. Now, here's another thing. After you get to school, work at your studies and work hard. That's the only way you'll ever amount to anything. Don't expect to get anywhere sitting around waiting for someone else to do the work for you. Remember, as old Chinese philosopher once say, only thing that ever comes to him who waits is whiskers. Night.
Joey Brown, that's what I call a Joey Brown. Post Toasties on the air next week. And Joe make you laugh, 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 laugh.
Daylight saving time adds Sunday, September 24th. If your community has been on standard time right along, this program will reach you 1 hour later. Otherwise, tune in next week as usual. This is Don Wilson saying goodnight for the makers of Post Toasties, the wake-up food. Heard on tonight's program was Are You Having Any Fun? From George White's Scandals. The Joey Brown program came to you from Hollywood. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
7 p.m. BULOVA, Boulevard Watch Time, courtesy of the Boulevard Watch Company, 5th Avenue, New York.
Attention, please. Garfield Hospital has requested us to contact Type 3 blood donors. Will Type 3 blood donors please get in touch with Garfield Hospital immediately? Thank you. WJSV, Washington.
Okay. Well, it looks like I'll cover one more thing before wrapping this up. Unfortunately, it hasn't uploaded to the system yet. So, I'll play this song again. It's sort of intermission, I guess you would say. Let me find it. Should be here. What is going on? Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. Before I upload this. Okay, it's not loading up yet. So I'll play this song again while waiting for the file to upload into the system. Okay, here we go.
Become very quickly. J'attendrai. le jour et la nuit, j'attendrai toujours ton retour. J'attendrai, car l'oiseau qui s'enfuit vient chercher l'oubli.
Okay, finally uploaded. Let's get it going now. Let me find it first, right? I should have just left that on. Such a nice song. And, I'm going to be throwing on a Gene Shepherd as the final program for the night. And I'm going to skip the Eurovision for the night, since this is running kind of longer than the usual broadcast. I don't have a date on this. Just a year, which is 1976. And actually by that time, Gene Shepherd had cut down, was beginning to cut his show down from 45 minutes to half an hour. And New York is a medieval city, and it sure is. They do a whole bunch of things in that town that kind of archaic, should I say. And something is screwy here. Okay, and as we know, old Shep will recognize the song. Here we go.
There's a lot of hobbies that people don't like to talk about, but that's something else. We will not get into that.
No theme here. Here we go.
No, there's a lot of hobbies that people don't like to talk about, but that's something else. We will not get into that. However, there are hobbies. Really, the hobby tells a heck of a lot about you. And if your hobby is standing among a lot of colored lights with a loud disco playing at full blast, it says a lot about your brain power. It does. I mean, you may not want to have it say it, but it does. I mean, and I don't make the news. I'm only reporting it, friend. I mean, if your hobby, on the other hand, is competing with Bobby Fischer in imaginary chess games, that says something about you too. And these are all, well, I don't care what you do, one way or the other. The point is, if you do these things, whatever it is your hobby, and everybody has one, one way or another. It's even if your hobby is just sitting in the corner looking mad, that is a hobby with a lot of people. It really is. Now, for example, here's a guy with a truly 20th century hobby. I mean, is Santa Clara, California. Of course, California is where the 20th century was actually created. Large parts of New York. No, I'm serious. New York is one of the most reactionary parts of the country. New York clings to its old ways harder than any other city in the country. That's one of the reasons we're in such trouble. Yet we cling to the early 20th century ideas, little narrow streets, and we cling to the early 20th century ideas of laissez-faire. Laissez-faire meaning anytime a truck wants to park sideways on 49th Street and block up traffic for 2 hours, he can do it. I mean, that's laissez-faire, triple parking and all. That kind of life was the kind of hullabaloo that was common in London in the early 19th century. Did you know that they had incredible traffic jams in London in the early 19th century? Of course, that was before they had traffic rules. But they had a hell of a lot of guys driving carts and handsome carriages and riding on horses and walking and pushing things. Millions of people. It got to the point sometimes, there are accounts where the traffic was so bad in London in the 1830s that it would take a man 3 days to cross the town. Serious, he stayed at inns on his way across the town. It was such an unbelievable hassle. You didn't know that, did you? Well, and not only that, the pollution was so bad, and I'm talking about air pollution, not sewage, air pollution. I'm talking about industrial pollution, like air, that there were times when for months on end, a resident of London did not see the sun. That's right. so along came the rules and regulations, you see, and slowly traffic began to unsnarl. And each one was fought as it went, incidentally. Every time they put another regulation in, it was fought tooth and nail by the natives, who considered this an unconscionable infringement on their public and private rights. And so gradually they had to do it, you see, because it was just completely... And then they had a fire. You know what started it? They had a giant fire. And thousands of areas of houses burnt down, and none of the fire trucks could even get there. I mean, they couldn't even get into it. And so at that point, they decided maybe they better have a few rules. And gradually they began to evolve the traffic system we have today. Now, in other parts of the country, are you aware that in other parts of the country they're so far advanced in traffic, they make New York look like medieval Venice, which it closely resembles, by the way. That likes to consider itself the art capital and the thinking capital and the literary capital of the world, but on the other hand, it's also the traffic jam capital of the world, the pothole capital of the world, the cigar butt and the gutter capital of the world, and one thing and another. It takes sometimes to get in and out of this city, it takes, sometimes an hour and a half just to get into the city. I mean, from the mouth of the tunnel. And now, that is unheard of in most of the rest of the parts of the country, where there are vast numbers of cars, too. In fact, more cars than we have today here, because many of the parts of the country don't even have mass transit like we have here. So the laissez-faire attitude in New York is just simply, if a store guy wants to bring in a giant tractor trailer and unload for 3 hours on 36th Street, he does it. That's it. He blocks traffic for a mile. He doesn't give a damn. That's true laissez-faire. Do you know that in other cities, I'll give you an example. Do you know that one major city in the country does not allow deliveries to stores during the daytime hours? How do you like that? All deliveries are made after 8 o'clock at night. I think it's 8 or 10 o'clock at night, and before 7 in the morning. Can you imagine them doing that in New York? No way. That's because no one would, it's laissez-faire. It's 19th century. This is a very interesting city that way. And so the clinging to the past has caused New York to become one of the least efficient cities in the world, unfortunately. Efficient in the sense that if business-wise, for example, many businesses are leaving New York not because of the taxes, but because they can't even get their stuff anymore. It takes 3 days to get a shipment from Fort Lee, New Jersey, which is right across the river, just to get it in here. And so guys are leaving and going to places like Gainesville, where you can get your shipment in 8 minutes. So I don't know. We are living in this medieval place, and it's like a giant warren. And yes, and many of the things that are happening here are the things that happened in the medieval places. For example, do you know that one of the side issues of medievalism was vast urban violence? The footpad was the most common character to be seen on the streets in Renaissance and medieval towns. You didn't know this? Do you think that came along with Mayor Wagner? Are you kidding? Oh no, the footpad was, and in London, the footpad became even a subculture. What do you think Dickens was writing about? Oliver Twist was a classic example of that. Why did they call them footpads? Well, the footpad, they wore padded shoes so that you couldn't tell that they were coming up behind you. That's why many muggers in our time wear tennis shoes and wear sneakers, you see, so you don't hear them coming up, and they can run like hell. Now, the medievalism of our city is fascinating to me. Medieval in the sense that, and by the way, another thing that was medieval was the guilds. Have you noticed this city is practically guilds? What were guilds? Unions. Of course. I always have to translate. The guilds were the unions of the medieval ages, and the cities became actually in the grip of guilds. And sounds familiar, doesn't it, gang? I've heard many a union guy say on the air, without even thinking that people would resent it. He says, "I'll have to close this city down. My union will close the city down unless